Hello again from my front porch. Actually, I'm in Redfield, Iowa again, and with my good friend Steve Roberts and his lovely wife Jo Kristy Jo.
It was half correct.
Hey, at least you got her name right.
Yeah. Eventually, I got there eventually.
It's all good.
Yeah. We know each other so well.
Right.
We do. You've never been in my basement.
No, that's true. But the reason that I'm here in their basement this time, well, obviously, with the ongoing saga of the build back the Dexfield diner continues. We've got we can't be meeting there because there's no diner to meet at. So yet, but the reason we're here in their basement is because this is actually where one of their other passion projects take place, or at least originates from. You see behind me here these nifty microphones and this whole setup here with the table. This is where these two really fun and lovely people do their own podcast, and then you've actually started doing video with the podcast as well. So it's like competition for the front porch, except theirs is much more entertaining. I've listened to it, and it's quite educational.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, we learn a lot about each other, don't we?
Yeah. And now the front porch, obviously, because you're watching it, you see either the linking through Facebook or on YouTube or one of the other social media things. But your podcast is actually out there on
Spotify.
Yeah.
In other words, I think YouTube somewhere. I don't know. It's places.
Yeah. Okay. Now the name of the podcast, in case you're curious, is it's a fun little name.
Yes.
And of course on the front porch I try not to we try to monitor the things which is always fun whenever I'm interviewing my dad. Because my dad, I'm always having to monitor what he's
put a little bleeps in there.
Like, okay, hold it, Dad. Let's try that question again. This time, don't say it quite that way. But it's a little hard to get around the name of your podcast, because your podcast name is
Small Town.
That is what it is. That is the name of the podcast. Yes. And actually, I think if you look it up, it's actually Small Town SH*T, right?
Correct.
I think so.
Is that how? Yeah.
Or there's lots of I's. Lots of I's.
Facebook doesn't like that word either.
Yeah.
We had to...
I don't know how it flew, but it's there.
But the premise of this is you both grew up in small towns, and you now live in small town Iowa, which some people will talk about small towns and small town Iowa, and they do it sort of dismissively and insultingly even. And that's not really what you're doing, because I've listened to it, so I know it's not really what you do. Have a few laughs at the expense of your background and your experiences in small town, but from my vantage point, now I didn't grow up in a completely small town. I grew up in Carroll, which is compared to other parts of the country, small, but for Iowa, it's kind of like medium.
It's not this small.
But I was mayor of Gilbert for a while, and Gilbert was like 1,200 people. The main employer was the school district. And the school district extended down into the north part of Ames and other stuff. And so the school district was huge and probably has grown considerably since. But Gilbert was very much a bedroom community for Ames, and there really wasn't a lot of industry or employers in Gilbert, and so it was very much a small little community. And I would say probably conservatively half the community was related to each other, maybe more than that. And I'm sure that's changed over the years now, especially as it's continued to expand and grow too. But at least when I was mayor, I didn't grow up in Gilbert, and I was not related to anybody in Gilbert. And so then suddenly I find myself in the city council, and then ultimately as mayor, and that's real tough. When you're serving that kind of role in a community you don't have connection with. At least here in Redfield, you have connection. Now, whether that works to your advantage or not, I don't know.
Well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yes.
That's anywhere.
There are
right?
people who know Steve from all the way back.
Yeah,
right.
well, and I'm sure on the podcast I've said I'm not from here.
Yeah.
But that's a small town thing.
Yes.
You compete with each other.
Yes.
So.
Well, and I believe on one of the podcasts, I believe Steve was pointing out, that as you were saying some things about small town stuff, and you're like, Steve's not, now wait a minute, you grew up.
That's right.
Yes, I did.
And where did you grow up?
Adel, just a few miles away.
See, so not all that far away.
No.
Still in this vicinity, in this neighborhood, and relatively speaking for rural Iowa. And so what got you into doing the podcast? Hey, Batman.
Batman's ready to go.
It's funny. I was telling him, when I'm doing these on my front porch at home, on my front porch, the dachshund Wiggles keeps wanting to jump up, and there have been times where I've had to stop recording because I'm like, Wiggles, get back. And so funny is we sit up down here, and as soon as we start going, here comes their cat, Batman.
He's ready. Well, no, you can explain. Go ahead.
He's ready for his close-up.
Why we started.
So what got you into doing the podcast?
Well, I had always, I have a close group of girlfriends, and we always joke and, kind of mess around. We're like, we should have one. We're so hilarious. Everybody would love to listen to us. And we've been to, shows where people who've had podcasts go and they play at, Hoyt Sherman. And you know how I like to do my podcast. Yeah. I was like, I'm so much funnier than these people are. We would have people dying.
Now I suppose we should also put a disclaimer in here that their podcast, while it is entertaining and it is fun, it is not for children.
No.
It is not for general family listening.
No.
Do not play it in your car on your family vacation, with the kids and stuff. But if you are an adult who has a really healthy sense of humor, then and if you have any affiliation whatsoever to small town, you will find it really, really funny.
Eventually we want to incorporate people calling in.
Oh yeah, we want to have guests.
Guests.
You came in today and we're like, ooh, fancy, all these things.
Yeah, but look at you. You got these big mics back here and stuff. See now if I was doing the front porch with these kind of things, it wouldn't even matter what was being said. You just look so official.
That's right.
Right.
It's like Larry King stuff. All right, today on
That's right.
front porch we've got.
It's all about the way it looks, right?
Well, part of that is the microphone covers my face because he's doing the video now.
That's true. Yes.
And then when I'm thirsty, then that covers part of when I'm drinking.
Yeah, so I was we were wondering
My water.
when you're going to get liquid refreshment sponsors.
Yes.
I could really do a legitimate. This episode is brought to you by.
Any local vendors out there? Here we go.
Well,
right.
Well, I believe there's a winery by Adel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Adel.
Yeah.
Winterset.
Winterset has one too.
Perry, I think around Perry. Yeah.
Yep. So you have possibilities.
You're listening.
Yeah, if you're listening. Yeah, if you actually watch the front porch. But seriously though, it's kind of fun thing for you to do that. But like I said, I find it kind of educational as well because there's stuff that we all just sort of take for granted that we know or that we've experienced, and then I listen to your podcast where you guys are talking about experiences around this or around this topic or that topic, and I'm like, I wouldn't even have thought about that. That's true. That is true. And so it's educational may not be the term. Maybe it's more that you associate. That you're like, oh yeah, so somebody else does know that. Yeah.
Or just because it's a small town, how many things are actually in the small town? There's a lot of people that reached out to us that are saying, I didn't even know that was there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's getting information out as well.
Well, and that, I'm glad you brought that up because that's it's very similar to some of the emphasis that you have done, consistently back when you were doing that pizza place in Ankeny, and then more recently, while you've had the Dexfield Diner here in Redfield, you do a great job of self-promotion, but you also are always shining that spotlight broader
and giving attention to others as well. Other proprietors of businesses that do similar kind of stuff. There's another bar here in town. There's the ice cream shop that also serves food when they're open. The Casey's out on the edge of town here. But you also talked about your Dollar General and bragged about how that's so great and wonderful. But that's just here. When you were in other places, you were helping shine about that. And I always think that's one of the great things is that you do a great job of self-promotion, but you will promote others too.
We got to stick together.
We do. Like, I promise you, he doesn't get a dime from the quilt shop. I am not very domestic, and he's clearly not sewing or quilting, but my God, if he had a penny for every time he mentioned like someone else, it really is important to him.
I think it was.
There's cool stuff here.
I think it was the second day you opened up your little boutique.
Yeah.
You know, and I know
which we'll talk about here too.
And I know she knows what I do and why I do it, but I remember her mentioning to me after her successful day at the boutique and talking to people and meeting people and learning about them and them learning about you. She's like, now I see why you do this. So it was kind of cool to have her feel that same way.
Yeah. Well, and of course there was the tragedy of the restaurant burning down. And very sad, and I'm not wanting to minimize that or not focus on it. But as much as that was a tragedy, there were other impacted entities from that as well. You had the arcade spot on the other side, which while the fire didn't go into the arcade side, the heat and the water damage and stuff did mess up that area. And so that has to be done. But then on the other side, the side on the corner, now that had been where you were living. It had been your residence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you had just moved out of that just a few months, fortunately, before all of this happened. Whew. But that side, again, fortunately, there was no fire damage. However, smoke and water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that area, after you moved out, Kristy, you converted that into this lovely little oddities boutique shop. What was it called? What will it be called again?
And it will be called again Four Corners Boutique, and it's modeled off the compass, north, south, east, west. And each one of my little directions was art. I love art. So handmade art that I have found and made my own spin to. Snark. I had left little sticky notes all around. So every time like ladies were coming through, or men even, I would be, did you find the one by the golf balls? Did you read the one by the golf balls? So I would discuss that as they were coming in and out. Hey, you got to look for all the notes. Vintage, because I just love junk. Like, I wanted to have glitter or sparkle in there, but sometimes things I like aren't really glittery. They're like rusty and junky and metal.
Rust is a form of glitter for some people.
It is, and it was in the shop for sure. Oh, good grief. I think I got it.
For?
Art, snark, vintage.
New stuff.
Oh,
wine?
No. Yes! Yes! That's it. I don't know if that was the official one, but I know how I like to be treated. So to offer a cookie like that they served in the diner, or just a little glass of champagne, or a little glass of wine, or I had water and I had sodas, like just how I want to feel when I'm shopping for things I don't need.
So when you showed up to shop in the Four Corners Boutique, you were treated not like some customer just browsing, looking for stuff. You were welcomed with open arms, like, hey, you're a guest, welcome in. So, yeah, that's awesome, and it will be awesome again. That area, you all have spent a considerable amount of time gutting. That I mean, like completely gutting all the walls, opening, and my Lisa was over and helping one day with some of that too. And you've been exposing the tin tiled ceiling that was up above where the drop ceiling was, and
curved.
The windows.
Yeah, some other really cool things.
Doors.
Yeah, that door to the back that you didn't even know was there.
The door to nowhere. The door to nowhere. Lisa and I were joking because it used to be an Oddfellows Lodge up above, and one of the standard rumors about Oddfellows Lodges is that they have human skeletons in the walls or the floor somewhere, and that never turned up. They never found it.
But so when he posted this thing about, hey, we found this door, this is the wall, we're like, careful, you know, I'm thinking, careful, opening that door, there could be a skeleton fall out.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, because there was an investigator there that was doing his work, and him and I got to chatting, and I was bringing up about an Oddfellow Lodge in Council Bluffs, and they found a full casket with a skeleton in it within the walls, and he's like, and I was explaining it to him. He's like, how do you know all this information? I'm like, well, for one, I reached out to the guy, and he goes, well, I actually did that investigation.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, you're right. So it's true.
Well, there's and I feel bad, I don't remember the name of the store now, but there was a really bizarre oddity shop in Omaha that Lisa and I went to. We actually brought you back some Oddfellow stuff,
which I have
from there. But they had a whole bunch of Oddfellows related things there. I wonder if any of them came from this one in Council Bluffs.
I'm pretty sure it did. I think it's that same guy.
Yeah.
So pretty strange.
But so all of that was set up with the Oddfellows Lodge and all those things. And so that history is not gone. That history is still there. If we can shift gears a little bit, talk about the here I've got you're selling these T-shirts and this is a sweatshirt. This is actually the staff version.
Yeah, so you got a special one.
Got this one here, and then on the back it says, whoop. See, it says big letter staff back there. That's kind of cool. But it says Building Back Better 2024 Dexfield Diner and Pub. Does it say, or just Dexfield Diner? Dexfield Diner. So Building Back Better, which so watch out. Joe Biden's going to sue you for copyright.
Oh shoot!
He's gonna
I was wondering. I'm like that sounds so familiar.
I wonder if that was a little poke. Who knows?
He didn't want to say, let's make the diner great again.
Yeah. Yes, making Dexfield great again.
Who knows?
But still, it's great. And so you've got fundraiser with these. Now, is there going to be? There was a round of selling them, and will there be more rounds?
I'm going to reach out to them because there's a lot of people asking for more shirts because they missed it. So I'll reach out to the folks that are doing that.
Okay.
Void Creation.
But you've got there is a Facebook page dedicated to the I'll call it the Dexfield Resurrection.
Yes. It's appropriate.
What do you recall the name of that Facebook page?
Dexfield Diner Rebuild.
Okay. Which will be on the screen, of course.
Yes.
And so anything that's going on is all posted in that Facebook.
And then if you just click on the feature, there's a little tab that says features. If you click on that, it has all the fundraisers right in there. So Sean made it pretty simple.
Yep. So and so there are 2 GoFundMes that are legitimate, only 2. But then I keep seeing there's various events, concert, performances, things, meal things, different kind of fundraiser things going on. It's just been, as we circle back to the small town stuff, it has just been so awesome to see how just the small, not even just within Redfield, but the small town mentality of Iowa. How people have just embraced, and they have said, you know what, Steve, all that stuff you do for everybody else, all that you do to help everybody else, all this that you two have done this great job of establishing these entities, and now you had the legs knocked out from under you, so we're here to help you. And it's really been great to see that outpouring.
Yeah, you learn a lot. You learn a lot from it, good and bad.
And we have supporters that we didn't know we even had.
Yeah.
Like people I've never met, but somehow they know me because they've seen Pizza Steve's videos and they've heard my name and they.
But it's good for you to have the boutique as well because that way you can establish yourself, kind of separately too. Yeah. Because you may not always want to be identified.
Hey,
as Steve,
there's people that are going in here boutique that have never been into my restaurant.
That is true. That is true.
So,
we're gonna have like a contest.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not keeping score.
When they're both back up and going, then we'll have to see where that settles. And now the good news is you had good news from the engineer. That because the building itself was built 1908?
1901.
1901. And that's obviously kind of old now. However, they knew how to build stuff in 1901 because it was really sort of 3, I'll say 2.5, but buildings all connected with the restaurant being in the middle. And so the big 2-story brick wall pieces ran both sides of that, but then on each outside of those walls was the other entities, the other spaces. And that middle part is the part that burned out, that is completely devastated, that's sadly gone. However, even with that being the case, what did the engineer tell you?
He put the level on there and was shocked that it hadn't even moved. He was very shocked. He's like, I'm like, and we had that huge wind right after that fire.
Yeah.
I thought for sure the next morning I was going to wake up and it was just going to be.
The brick would all be in and stuff.
And it wasn't. So it's amazing. The fire department did an amazing job.
Oh yeah, everybody who was there, like in an official capacity, like of any kind, like firefighter, insurance, they were so impressed with the architecture, just the structure that held and did its job. And I think part of that too is like the firefighters, like they clearly knew what they were doing, because one was surprised that they didn't blast the wall down with the fire hoses, which could have happened.
I think it was Adel brought in the Dallas County sheriffs. They brought in an actual drone.
Oh, really?
And they flew the drone over there, and it actually would show them where the hot spots and stuff.
Oh, really?
Were at, so they could.
Wow, so they could target.
Just target.
Yeah.
So it's very cool.
Well, yeah, and I heard, was it 8 different fire agencies? It turned out. Was it more than that? 13. Wow. 13 volunteer firefighters.
Everyone volunteer.
Agencies, not just firefighters.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. But that also contributes to why it's still so the engineer with him saying that level, that means that you can rebuild.
Yes.
In that same spot using the what still is standing, you can just reuse that and reconstruct.
And we're trying. I mean, we got to put some braces up, and we're trying to our options are very open to a lot of things, right?
Well, you're literally at the ground level still with all
correct.
That stuff.
So we've reached out to trying to reach out to the grant people, Region 12 grants, seeing if there's any grants out there that can help us restore it back to the way it used to be. And so
that historical part of the building in the whole block is why we moved here.
Well, and the good news is you have it well documented what the insides look like. Because there's this whole series of videos that Steve has done over the months, the years now that you were running the place, that shows pretty much every nook and cranny.
I was looking, I was like, God dang, I got a lot of videos.
Yes.
Holy moly! But yeah, it's just crazy, because that first building. When we first moved here, the boutique side and up above, Christy and I, we purchased it right away when we moved here from Smith Realty, Joe and Nancy, who are amazing. And then it was in 23, January 23, we actually had an official contract that we signed with Joe Smith and Smith Realty. And we don't want we want to be here. We want to rebuild that place. And this is our home.
Well, I haven't seen or heard from anybody that disagrees with that idea. In fact, everybody seems really excited about wanting to have that both that facility back, but also to have you all back in doing what you have demonstrated you were so good at doing.
Just got a message yesterday or the day before from 2 of my servers that are working at other restaurants in surrounding towns. That gave them jobs, which is awesome.
Excellent.
So thank you. Knowing that they'll probably come back, right? Well, hopefully. Hopefully. But I got a text message saying, hey, I thought I'd let you know I'm working over here, and all our guests are coming here, and they're excited, wanting you. They're like, we're excited he's rebuilding. We can't wait till he gets back open.
Good.
So,
So, and that's going to be a continual, ongoing thing, because I know everybody has questions. So, what do you do with this? Well, some of those questions you can't answer yet.
No, we can't. That's just it. The insurance right now is they're figuring things out.
They got a lot of official stuff they got to deal with.
They're figuring it out.
A lot of paperwork things and stuff they have to.
But the positive thing is they're telling us to do things, so we know it's going the right direction.
Yeah. So. Well, that's excellent. And we were chatting a little bit last night as well that you also are taking some of the knowledge you've gained, the experience from running things to this point, so that now as you're looking at, okay, how do we reestablish and start over again, there's some lessons learned that you'll be able to implement, so that not only will it be able to return, but return stronger
Correct.
than what it was.
Yep.
So that's a good thing too.
Yes, I've learned a lot. Let's just say that I've learned a lot, and things will be a little different, but I'll still, like you and I were talking, I'll still be Pizza Steve, but
the heart and soul of the diner will still be the same.
but
So we can expect the really goofy Pizza Steve videos to continue for the foreseeable future.
That is correct. And these fundraisers, there's that bow fundraiser. The fundraisers right now, guys, I mean, it's they're allowing us to get in there right now and get in there and do the work and get the dumpsters and because obviously we have no revenue coming in from the restaurant, and I have nothing coming from the insurance companies right now. So this is all on our own and out of my own pocket right now. So thank God for these fundraisers, because I'm able to pay my employees what they need, and if they come.
Well, and so you mentioned a couple of your employees that got jobs working in other places, but employees that haven't been able to do that or aren't able to,
because there are some that can't
get there yet. You're still helping them out.
Correct. And that's through the fundraisers and
and the fundraisers, we talked about this too, but I think we mentioned this last time on the last video, but it's always good to reinforce is that when people when they buy the shirts and they do the GoFundMe's, they do the raffle stuff, they do the whatever those things are, none of that money goes into your wallet.
No.
That's going into a totally separate account created at the bank that the bank has oversight of.
Yes. Correct.
So that all that money is going into being used for these related things related to the reconstruction. As the insurance company says, you can start on some stuff. They'll ultimately reimburse you for some of that.
And that's,
but you're having to pay this stuff out front, supporting your former employees, or
correct.
I guess not even former. You just don't have a place for them to be.
Right.
They're still your employees.
They're in limbo right now. They're in limbo. So for sure. Yeah.
And then I would imagine you probably have just other expenses related, ongoing expenses, even though there is no business there. In order for you to maintain licensing or account stuff or different business related things, you probably have some of that stuff going on too.
They came to turn our electricity off.
So
at the diner.
I got a call from Alliant Energy, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm here to cut your electricity off because you haven't paid your bill." I'm like, "For the building that burnt down?" He's like, "You're kidding me." And he was very upset because they sent him out here, and he's like, "You know what? Don't worry about it. You got more things to worry about."
But those are the types of things that this money is going for.
I just got another bill in the mail for insurance. And, I got to pay insurance.
Well, you still have to pay insurance even with the building gone.
My LLC.
Because you're still paying insurance on the property.
Yes.
My LLC needs renewed. My food license needs renewed. My alcohol license.
What about things like you were doing the roasted chicken, and that was a licensed thing, and I mean, do you have to maintain that stuff?
Well, and that's some of them they're still asking, hey, sorry you had this fire, but you have a $1,000 bill you need to pay for the food that you ordered last week. Because that's how the restaurant industry works. You order stuff and then you get a few days to pay it. And so bills were still coming in, and it was like, and just the week of the fire, we had approximately, and we had some stuff in there, but we had a lot of bills coming in that week. A lot of bills.
Yeah, it just
for the restaurant.
Yeah, just because you had the fire, and again, I'm not trying to demean or belittle, but just because you had the fire doesn't mean that all those expenses went up in smoke too.
Right.
Whoever those vendors are, they still expect to get paid.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, again, the insurance. Now, I'm not an insurance expert, but from what I understand, your insurance will actually cover basically two different things. One would be the physical rebuilding, reconstruction, equipment, all that stuff to recreate the restaurant, to be able to have this. But then the insurance also is going to cover these other expenses, the ongoing salary stuff, the some of these other things, expenses to vendors, that kind of stuff. But and you may ultimately get payment for one, but not the other one right away.
Correct.
There might be a delay between those two as well.
And our adjuster did just call me the other day on Friday actually, and he's like, "Hey, I know we haven't got you anything yet." He's like, "Are you paying your employees? Because I can, we can pay our employees." I'm like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Well, how are you doing that?" Because he's got all my paperwork. He sees everything. He's like, "Well, how are you doing that?" I'm like, "Well, the fundraisers that they're doing are helping me." He's like, "Oh, that's amazing. That's great." He goes, "Eventually we'll get you something, but So he was amazed, you know,
Yeah.
that we were able to take care of
Well,
him.
that's cool.
So
And the dumpsters that are,
the dumpsters.
there's a literal and, you know, figurative hole
Yeah.
in the square right now.
Yeah.
So that money's helping us with the literal hole, like
Uh-huh.
getting the stuff out there, because I still don't, I mean, that's my uptown too.
Yeah.
I need that corner to look
Yeah.
as good as it can. And
Yeah.
then we want to quickly get back to that hub of activity that was there before.
One, and I saw online that you went out and even though there'd been this disaster that happened at the diner, you went out still and you decorated your flower things out there
yeah.
to look very St. Patrick's-y.
Yes.
And because to your point, you still want that to look good. Yeah. So anyway, there's going to be lots of other updates coming up. You know, people keep asking you the questions. You answer as many as you can, and you know you can't answer the ones you can't answer yet. But stuff keeps happening, and you know I don't know. Do you talk much about the diner stuff now on the podcast, or are you keeping those two worlds separate?
So that's part of our heartbreak. Is our very next episode we were going to do like small town business.
Yeah.
So we were going to go up and shoot the video from either the diner or the boutique or both.
Yeah. That idea kind of got messed up.
We had a ghost episode coming up.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that because there were some ghost investigator people that were going to go up. They were going to be here December, wasn't it? Back in December, and then that didn't work out weather-wise or something, and so they had rescheduled. They were going to be coming here this spring, and Lisa and I were like, whoa, we're curious about that one here, and then now, that's met. Although we did talk to your mom,
my
right?
mother,
your mom, who is a little sensitive to those, not little, very sensitive to those things. Lisa is a little sensitive to those things too, and so they were having a little conversation at a recent fundraiser that we were here in town for, and Lisa says to your mom, so do you think, you know, the ghosts that were there, do you think that the fire, do you think that sort of released them? Are they good? that the stuff that maybe they didn't like about the business, you know, are they happy about that, or are they angry about the fire? And your mom just looks at her straight dead on and goes, a little of both.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, we had another friend reach out to us. She's a what do you call them, mediums? Psychic. And she was telling us some stuff, and she said some stuff that nobody would know about, and it was very interesting. So
that's the person you posted about on Facebook. That she started rattling off stuff about the building and the history that aren't really publicly known.
And she knew that
the universe wants us to rebuild.
The universe wants us to rebuild, so we'll rebuild. But she mentioned about how my mom wasn't able to go up there, and nobody knew that. Yeah. And so it's kind of,
there was that room at the top of because been up there a couple of times. You go up the stairs from the outside, and that very first room that you go by, that was one that you'd said your mom just would not go in.
Correct.
That she could not even. She'd get in the doorway, but nope, I'm not going in here. Unfortunately, that room is still there.
It did survive. That room survived.
It is still there. So no, we're ready to rebuild. We're just waiting for the insurance companies to figure out who's doing what.
So it's kind of a fine line, like. Yeah. You've seen and heard, or you haven't seen, but you've heard our podcast. We don't know how much to infuse the two yet, but you know.
Well, I don't think it's a problem if you keep them separate in that sense. But I was just curious whether as we're talking about people keeping up to speed with what you're doing,
but we were
listening to the podcast.
I mean, they are one of the big sponsors of our podcast, so we should be mentioning them.
They are the top.
Yeah.
Are you wearing your?
That's why
Are you wearing your Dexfield gear when you're on the podcast?
That's right. That's right.
You need to know.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
But it's been very hard too, like to emotionally like.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
I probably had to have a few glasses of wine before I could even get on the podcast and talk about the diner.
Well, and I can see why that would be some issue for as well, because as far as the mixing of the two, because like I said, the podcast to a large extent it's very lighthearted. It's a little tongue in cheek. It's a lot of irreverent, but it makes you laugh. It makes you think a little. Makes you okay. Well, it's a good question. But ultimately, it's a lot of humor to it.
Yeah.
And so then take the topic like what's going on with the diner and stuff and put it into that format, it's a little weird.
Yeah, it is a little different. A buddy of mine just reached out to me. He sent me a text message, and they're now watching the podcast. And he's like, "Hey, when's that poop talker and that drunk lady coming back on? We wanna." And I'm like, "What?
Did you have a guest?
What are you talking about? There was no drunk lady. There was no talker on there. What are you talking about?" So no, it's been fun, and it's got us closer, I guess, too. I mean, it's.
I mean, a podcast with my friends would have been really funny.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sure people will definitely tune in for that one, too.
Yes.
But Steve keeps me in line.
Yes.
But, what is interesting for me about the podcast is because, I know both of you, but, from my interactions with Steve, one-on-one, but also seeing his Pizza Steve videos, I knew what a knucklehead he is. But then I listen to the podcast and I find out, ooh, she matches him wit for wit.
Oh, and then some. And then some.
We need a dump button.
And then some. One big thing we do have one big event when you said fundraisers. April 13th. The owner of the quilt shop, her husband, and a couple others put together a fundraiser at the Legion Hall. And Neva Aldine is going, or Aldine, I said her name wrong.
Alden.
Neva Alden is donating her time.
Joe corrected you.
She did. She's used to it.
Because I can read.
So, but no, they'll be out here playing, and there'll be silent auctions, and the bow raffle. We'll have spots left for that, hopefully. So it's going to be a big night. It's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, and I do want to put it, you did a great plug for the fire department here that has done so much. I want to also mention, because we've referenced it many times now, your local Legion Hall. That a lot of the fundraiser things that I see going on, especially if they're a physical located thing, I see the Legion Hall attached with those things, and so it's great to see your local Legion folks being so supportive of what's going on as well.
Yep.
And as I said before, your other businesses. There's another bar in town that has been supportive. The ice cream shop. We did the episode a while back where you did the fundraiser. They did the fundraiser there, where they literally opened a month ahead of where they were planning to open, which meant they had to scramble and get all the product to be able to even make ice cream. They had to get all their equipment cleaned up and ready because they weren't planning to even open for another month.
They're still not open,
but they hurried up and they what was that, 3-4 hours that they did fundraising, and then they raised over $5,000.
Yes, and the lines down the.
Oh yeah, we stood in that line, and it didn't matter what time you got there. The line was always just as long.
The owners of the shootout, they were actually on vacation, and they just recently got back. And as soon as they got back, they're doing a 50-50 raffle.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So it's just
a
lot of support, a lot of love.
I know. I went into the bathroom, and I'm like, hey, that's us. Every time it hits me, I'm like, that's me. It's me. But just humble, so humble. They are all just fabulous.
Well, this we could go on and on. Really, we could go on and on. But I want people to actually watch it. And so
you got to edit a lot of
this. You're gonna edit a lot.
Yeah, we'll edit bits and pieces here and there. Okay. But I do want to say, that I do not feel out of place saying that everybody is excited about the opportunity for the Dexfield Diner and Pub and the Four Corners Boutique to be able to be resurrected and come back bigger and better than before. That's obvious. Just from the online support, and like you said, the ice cream thing, the line.
And I'm not going to have to make your morning coffee here at the house anymore. I might be able to make it uptown somewhere.
Yeah. It might be a little while still, but it will eventually get there. Anyway, so Steve, always a pleasure.
Yes.
Kristy Jo, love having you on here. Have you ever been on my front porch thing before?
I have never been on
your
front porch.
All right.
I mean, I've walked through your front porch.
But you never been here on the.
No.
So, all right, cool.
I guess I'm out now.
Yeah. Next one, I will just talk to Kristy Jo.
There we go. Then people will watch.
Kristy Jo and her friends And actually,
you know some of my friends too.
and it's funny you say that people would then watch, because I find that when people say, oh, hey, I watch your Front Porch every now and again. Yeah, you've had some really good ones on there, and I start trying to push them. Oh, well, which ones did you really like? Which ones did you like? And generally, the most popular answers are the ones that my parents have been on.
Yeah.
But even if it's not the ones that my parents have been on, you were talking to somebody. And what I find is that by and large, the popular episodes are the ones that do not just feature me. So.
Well, I was watching yours.
So we need a guest.
We need guests.
All right. So with that, I'm gonna let you folks go because you got stuff to
you.
do, and you probably have stuff to do too. So I will see you all next time from my front porch.